Imagine for a moment that everything you desire, every dream that dances in your mind, every longing of your heart, already exists, not somewhere far away, not in some impossible future, but here, now, in the realm of consciousness, within the invisible world that shapes all visible reality. Yet most people live in struggle, in doubt, in the constant effort of trying to force life into form. But there is a different way. There is a way to let go, to relax, and to trust the unseen, to move from struggle into the effortless flow of life. Understand this: the outer world is simply a reflection of your inner state. Every circumstance, every encounter, every twist of fate mirrors what you hold within. If there is resistance, if there is tension, if there is a constant striving, it is because within you are holding on, clinging to outcomes, or wrestling with the fear that what you desire may never come. And yet, all you truly need is to release, to allow, to surrender. Not in weakness, but in understanding that the universe is the canvas upon which your imagination paints. Letting go is not a denial of desire. It is not abandoning your dreams or giving up your hopes. On the contrary, letting go is an acknowledgement of the perfect order of life, of the infinite intelligence that moves beyond human comprehension, orchestrating circumstances in your favor. You see, the mind is a powerful instrument, and imagination is the language through which life is formed. When you let go, when you relax, you permit your imagination to speak without interruption, to paint the reality you wish to see. Notice how often you hold tightly to your plans, to your expectations. You think that by gripping, by controlling, by calculating every step, you ensure your success. But in truth, the tighter you hold, the more resistance you create. Life does not respond to force. It responds to feeling, to consciousness. When you relax, when you stop the struggle, when you release the mental tension, you create space for the invisible to become visible. Your inner state of being is the soil from which all outer manifestations grow. Relaxation is more than just physical ease. It is an alignment of thought, feeling, and being. It is the quiet trust that what is meant for you will not pass you by. Imagine a seed planted in fertile soil. You do not demand it grow on your schedule. You water it, you nurture it, you protect it, and then you allow the natural intelligence of life to bring forth the sprout, the bud, the flower. This is the principle of letting go. This is the art of living in harmony with the universe. You must also understand the power of assumption. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Imagine not with longing, not with desire from a place of lack, but from certainty, from confidence, from knowing that your imagination is the key that unlocks reality. When you assume, when you dwell in that feeling, when you saturate your mind with the sensation of already having, you already being, you align with the unseen forces that bring it to pass. You do not chase, you do not plead, you simply live in the state of fulfillment, and all else follows. Trust is the bridge between desire and manifestation. But trust is not something earned externally. It is cultivated internally. You trust the unseen not because you have proof, not because the world has confirmed it, but because you know the mind cannot be deceived, cannot fail. The universe reflects back to you what you hold within. And if you persist in feeling, in assuming and living in the end, the outer world must yield. The universe does not question the sincerity of imagination. It merely obeys the law of consciousness. Consider how often life seems to rush by with tension, with worry, with anxious striving. You are taught to struggle, to toil, to earn your desires as though the world is a battlefield. Yet life is not a battlefield. Yet life is not a battlefield. It is a reflection, a mirror, a stage upon which your inner world is projected. When you relax, when you stop resisting, when you stop imposing doubt upon your own imagination, you allow the natural flow of life to bring forth exactly what you have assumed. There is a joy in this release, a power in this surrender, a freedom that cannot be found in effort or force. And do not fear the unknown. Do not fear the gap between where you are and where you wish to be. That gap exists only in perception. In consciousness, there is no gap. In the world of feeling, in the world of imagination, your desire already exists. Your task is not to chase it, but to embody it, to live in it, to trust that the unseen will perform its work. The universe conspires with your assumption, moves in rhythm with your feeling, and brings forth the evidence of your inner reality. It is also essential to release attachment to the how. Do not burden your imagination with the mechanics of manifestation. You are not required to direct the universe in its every step. You are only required to direct your inner state. The world has 1,000 ways to respond to your inner reality, many ways you cannot foresee. When you release attachment to the how, when you trust, when you allow, you create a channel for infinite possibilities to flow effortlessly. Life becomes not a struggle but a dance, a natural unfolding in perfect timing. Relaxation, trust, and letting go are cultivated practices. Begin each day by centering yourself, by quieting the mind, by imagining as though the wish is already fulfilled. Feel the reality of it. Live in that state throughout the day, regardless of the outer appearances. The world outside is irrelevant. The only reality is the world within. When you master this inner state, outer conditions will rearrange themselves to match. Outer conditions will rearrange themselves to match. All resistance, all fear, all doubt melts away in the warmth of confident assumption and patient trust. You must remember, letting go is not passive. It is a deliberate choice to believe more in the unseen than in appearances. It is a choice to feel, to assume, to dwell in fulfillment, even when the senses suggest otherwise. The universe honors the inner world. The external world cannot dictate your reality. It can only reflect what you hold within. Therefore, relax, trust, release. Be the consciousness that knows no lack, no limitation, no struggle. Live as if your desire is already yours, and you will find the world responding to your inner decree. Feel the subtle peace that arises when you release control, the subtle joy that arises when you trust fully, the quiet power that comes from letting life move through you rather than against you. This is the essence of manifestation. This is the art of living effortlessly. This is the wisdom that transforms struggle into serenity, doubt into certainty, and desire into reality. So, whenever you feel anxious, whenever you feel the weight of the world pressing upon you, remember this: all that you need already exists within your consciousness. The universe is not your enemy, it is your collaborator. Let go of resistance, relax your mind, trust the unseen intelligence, and allow life to unfold in perfect harmony. When you do this, you align with the infinite, you move with the natural order, and you become a magnet for all that your imagination has already conceived. Embrace the freedom of surrender. Embrace the peace of trust. Embrace the power of imagination fully. When you do, you will discover that life is not a struggle to be endured, but a canvas for the masterpiece that your consciousness has already painted. All you must do is see it, feel it, and allow it to become. Notice how natural it feels when you allow yourself to drift into imagination, to see, hear, and feel as if your desire is already real. There is a subtle power in feeling alive, in your wish fulfilled. It is a sensation that fills the body, warms the heart, and quiets the restless mind. When you cultivate this feeling daily, it becomes a beacon that guides the unseen forces to shape circumstances around it. You do not need to demand, you do not need to struggle. You simply radiate the certainty, the assurance, and life responds accordingly. There is a rhythm to the universe, a pulse that moves in perfect timing with your inner state. When you resist, you fight against this rhythm. When you let go, when you relax, when you trust, you move in harmony with it. And in this harmony, miracles cease to be miracles. They become natural, ordinary expressions of an extraordinary consciousness. You are not asking for something outside of yourself. You are recognizing something already within. This recognition is the key that unlocks every door, dissolves every obstacle, and manifests every dream. It is also vital to notice how quickly the mind can return to doubt, how easily fear can creep in and cloud your imagination. The practice of relaxation and trust is not a one-time act. It is a persistent awareness, a daily exercise. You catch yourself in thought, and if doubt arises, you gently redirect to the feeling of fulfillment. You do not argue with the doubt. You do not fight it. You simply shift your state. Like water flowing around a rock, your consciousness finds the path of least resistance, and in this flow, the unseen intelligence moves to fulfill the reality you embody. Consider the way your body relaxes when you lie down, after a long day, when you release tension from your muscles, when you exhale fully and let the weight of the world lift from your shoulders. That same principle applies to the mind. Release the grip on how life should unfold. Release the tension of wanting, the anxiety of timing, the pressure of external validation. Allow your imagination to carry the story, to live in the end, and watch as the world rearranges itself to reflect what you already hold within. Every event, every meeting, every encounter is a reflection of the state you inhabit. If you are anxious, the world mirrors anxiety. If you are doubtful, uncertainty will appear in form. But if you are relaxed, confident, and trust-filled, the world begins to bend to your inner reality. Nothing is outside of your influence except in appearance. In truth, the universe obeys your inner state with exact precision. This is why letting go is so powerful. It does not relinquish control. It exercises the highest control, the control of your own consciousness, which is the only true source of power. As you practice this, you may notice synchronicities, small signs, unexpected doors opening. These are no two coincidences. They are confirmations that the unseen is responding, that life flows in harmony with your inner state. You may also notice that when you stop struggling, solutions appear with clarity, obstacles dissolve with ease, and opportunities emerge without effort. The universe always works for you, not against you, but only when you stop resisting, only when you relax, only when you trust fully. Imagine a river flowing naturally to the sea. It does not force its way. It does not fight against the banks. It follows the path, bending, turning, moving, and in its flow, it reaches its destination effortlessly. So too does your consciousness. Do not fight the currents of life. Do not demand. Do not struggle. Align yourself, embody the feeling of what you desire, and allow the river of life to carry you. And know that letting go does not mean neglecting awareness. On the contrary, it requires the keenest attention to your inner state. Every moment, notice what you feel, what you imagine, what you assume. When you sense tension, gently shift to relaxation. When you sense doubt, gently shift to trust. When you feel fear, gently shift to the feeling of fulfillment. This persistent inner alignment is the art of manifestation, the path to effortless creation, the key to life, flowing as you imagine it. The world outside can be chaotic, unpredictable, even alarming, but none of this touches the mind that is calm, relaxed, and filled with certainty. When you cultivate inner peace, when you trust, when you let go, your outer world begins to mirror this state. Your environment, your relationships, your opportunities, even your health and finances respond to the clarity and relaxation you embody. This is the subtle yet immense power of trust in the unseen. Every thought you hold, every feeling you nurture, every assumption you dwell in carries energy. When you let go of fear, when you relax into trust, you are sending a signal to the universe that you are ready to receive, that you are in alignment with your desire, that you do not resist the natural unfolding of life. And the universe, which is infinitely intelligent, responds with exactness, bringing to form what your inner world has already imagined. Imagine now a life where struggle is optional, where doubt is unnecessary, where you move in confidence, peace, and trust. Imagine waking each day, not chasing, not pleading, not fearing, but living as if every desire is already fulfilled, every need already met, every goal already accomplished. This life is not far away. It is available in every moment you choose to embody the feeling of the end, to trust and to relax. Even when challenges appear, even when circumstances seem contrary, your inner state remains the anchor. You do not react with fear. You do not panic. You remain the observer, the conscious creator, the one who knows that outer appearances are simply mirrors, and that the true reality is the one you maintain within. In this way, letting go is not surrender to chance. It is mastery of consciousness. Your imagination, your inner feeling, is the only real power you possess. It creates everything, sustains everything, transforms everything. When you stop struggling, when you release control, when you trust the unseen, you align with this power. You allow life to flow through you, not around you. You stop resisting, and you begin to co-create effortlessly with the infinite. The act of letting go is in itself an act of faith. Not faith in someone else, not faith in circumstances, but faith in the intelligence of life itself, faith in your own consciousness, faith in the fact that what you imagine, you already hold, and what you feel, the world must mirror. This faith is the antidote to fear, the key to freedom, the door to the life you have always imagined. Feel now the subtle difference between striving and allowing. Striving comes from the belief that life is outside of you, that you must fight, push, and manipulate circumstances to get what you want. Allowing comes from the realization that life is born from within, that everything you desire already exists in the realm of imagination, waiting only for your consciousness to recognize it. When you allow, you stop the struggle. You release the tension. You step into the effortless flow, where creation moves in harmony with your feeling. Notice how often you reach for control, trying to dictate how every detail of life should unfold. This is unnecessary. The mind of man cannot improve upon the intelligence of life itself. The universe does not require your constant intervention. It requires your inner state of being. When you embody the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you trust and relax, life moves in perfect order. The unseen forces which respond to consciousness alone begin to rearrange circumstances with a precision that surpasses anything you could plan or imagine. Imagine your desire as a flame and your inner state as the oxygen that feeds it. Struggle and doubt smother the flame, anxiety chokes it, fear blows it out. But relaxation, trust, and confident assumption nourish it. When you hold this flame steadily within, without interruption, the outer world bends naturally to reflect it. You are not pushing life into form. Life is flowing from the invisible into the visible, guided by your inner feeling. Do not be disturbed by delay. Time is only a measurement of physical perception. In the unseen, in consciousness, your desire is already accomplished. The delay is simply your perception waiting to catch up with the reality that already exists within. Do not rush. Do not panic. Trust that the timing of manifestation is perfect and that the intelligence of life will present the fulfillment of your assumption at the exact moment when conditions are ready to reflect it fully. Relaxation is a state of inner knowing, a quiet confidence that life responds to consciousness. When you practice this, you stop reacting to appearances. When problems arise, you do not panic. When circumstances seem contrary, you do not despair. You remain anchored in the inner reality, knowing that the outer world is only a mirror. Knowing that the outer world is only a mirror, you act with poise, with calm, with the assurance that life is unfolding exactly as it must, and that your desires are being fulfilled in ways that surpass expectation. Imagine walking through each day with this ease, this peace, this certainty. Your thoughts no longer wrestle with doubt. Your feelings no longer fluctuate with circumstances. You remain steady, centered, aligned with the life you imagine.
Centered, aligned with the life you imagine.
Others may struggle, others may panic, but you are calm. You are the observer, the creator, the one whose inner state dictates the form of life itself. The outer world must conform, for it cannot resist the reality you embody. Letting go also means releasing the weight of past failures, disappointments, and fears. These are memories, not reality. They belong to time, not consciousness. When you release them, when you stop dragging old limitations into the present, you free yourself to create anew. Your imagination is not bound by what has been. It is limitless. You can dwell in the state of fulfillment, regardless of the past, and allow the universe to bring forth evidence that your inner vision is the true reality. Do not underestimate the subtle power of feeling. Thought without feeling is like a seed planted in dry soil. It may exist, but it will not grow. Feeling is the rain, the sunlight, the nourishment that brings life to the unseen seed. When you feel the reality of you, wish fulfilled, when you saturate yourself in the sensation of accomplishment, love, success, peace, or whatever you desire, you send a signal to the universe that cannot be ignored. Life moves to express what your heart already knows. Life moves to express what your heart already knows. Notice the difference between living in doubt and living in trust. Doubt keeps you small, limited, tethered to fear and struggle. Limited, tethered to fear and struggle. Trust expands consciousness, liberates imagination, and opens the doors to infinite possibilities. Trust does not demand proof. Trust does not depend on circumstances. Trust comes from knowing, deep within, that what you imagine and feel is already yours. This knowing, combined with relaxation, allows life to manifest effortlessly. Even when distractions appear, when the world seems chaotic, when people around you doubt or struggle, your inner state remains untouched. You do not absorb the fear of others. You do not absorb the fear of others. You do not allow their doubt to influence your consciousness. You hold the inner image, the inner feeling, with patience and confidence. You move through life like a quiet lighthouse, radiating calm certainty, unaffected by storms, because you know the source of reality lies within. Your imagination is a powerful tool, more powerful than any circumstance, more potent than any external influence. When you let go of resistance, when you relax, when you trust, your imagination becomes a magnet. It draws to you the experiences, opportunities, and people that perfectly align with the reality you are embodying. You do not need to chase. You do not need to persuade. Life itself is drawn to your inner certainty, moving in ways you may not yet see, but always in alignment with your state of being. Recognize the beauty in the invisible. Trust in the intelligence that shapes all things. Relax into the flow. Let go of tension, doubt, and struggle. Live each moment as if your desire is already realized. Feel it ka.
De. Da. Come.
Now it, radiate it. And in this alignment, the world, in all its forms, responds naturally, harmoniously, effortlessly. Feel the subtle rhythm of life as it responds to your inner state. Every thought you cultivate, every feeling you nurture, sets into motion an invisible current. This current carries your imagination into form, shaping circumstances, aligning events, and drawing experiences that mirror the reality you hold within. When you resist, when you doubt, when you struggle, you create turbulence in this current. But when you relax, when you trust, when you let go, the current flows effortlessly, and life itself moves to fulfill the reality you embody. Imagine the stillness of a lake at dawn. The water is calm, clear, and reflective. A single pebble thrown into the lake creates ripples, but the lake remains serene. Your consciousness is like this lake. When you relax, when you trust, when you release the need to control, the surface remains smooth. The ripples of outer events touch you, but they do not disturb your inner peace. You remain centered, aligned, and in harmony with the unseen intelligence that shapes all things. Notice how the mind constantly seeks certainty, how it demands evidence before it will believe. Yet in the unseen, in the realm of imagination, certainty is not earned, it is assumed. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled as if it is already yours. Saturate your mind with this assumption. Live in it fully. This is the secret of letting go. You do not chase. You do not struggle. You do not plead. You simply embody, and life rearranges itself to mirror the state you maintain within. Relaxation is not laziness, it is mastery. It is the art of aligning thought, feeling, and being. When you stop pushing, when you stop forcing, when you allow, you are exercising the highest form of control. You are directing life from the invisible, shaping it with your consciousness and letting the universe orchestrate the details. Life is not your enemy. Life is a collaborator responding to the signals your inner state sends. See yourself walking through each day with ease. Challenges may appear, but you meet them with calm. Obstacles may arise, but you remain centered. People may doubt, but your trust is unshakable. Your consciousness is anchored in the reality you desire. You do not react with fear. You do not bend to appearances. You do not bend to appearances. You remain the creator, the one whose inner world dictates the outer, the one whose imagination forms life itself. Imagine the feeling of complete surrender, not a surrender to lack, but a surrender to the intelligence that governs all creation. This surrender is the key to effortless manifestation. This surrender is the key to effortless manifestation. It is not giving up, it is giving in to the natural flow, to the law that your inner state determines outer experience, and lie that your inner state determines outer experience. When you practice this, when you relax into it, when you trust the unseen aligns with your feeling, and the world rearranges itself perfectly, even when the outer world seems chaotic, even when events appear contrary, your inner state remains unchanged. You do not resist. Remains unchanged. You do not resist. You do not fight. You remain steady in the feeling of fulfillment, knowing that what you hold in consciousness cannot be denied. The universe moves to mirror this state, and life begins to bend in harmony with the reality you inhabit. Notice how subtle this practice can be. A brief moment of inner peace, a short pause to feel the wish fulfilled, a gentle release of tension. These small acts accumulate. They create a reservoir of calm certainty within you. From this reservoir, every thought, every feeling, every action flows effortlessly, magnetizing circumstances, people, and events that align with the reality you assume. Imagine now that every breath you take carries this feeling of fulfillment. Each inhale brings clarity. Each exhale releases doubt. With every heartbeat, you strengthen the inner conviction that what you desire is already yours. You are no longer struggling to create. You are simply allowing. The outer world must conform, for the unseen has already shaped the outcome in perfect alignment with your consciousness. Relaxation and trust also free you from the burden of how and when. You do not need to know the steps. You do not need to control the unfolding. Your task is only to embody the end, to feel the reality of your desire, and to let the intelligence of life orchestrate the details. This is the secret of effortless creation. Trust in the process, release control, and maintain the inner state of fulfillment. Every act of worry, every thought of doubt, every moment of resistance only delays the manifestation, but every moment of trust, every feeling of fulfillment, every relaxed state accelerates it. Life is responsive. Life is intelligent. Life moves to reflect the state you maintain within. Your consciousness is the lever, your feeling is the force, and the universe is the obedient instrument. Picture now the joy of living fully in this state. Picture now the joy of living fully in this state. You rise each day not in struggle, but in expectation. You move not in anxiety, but in expectation. You move not in anxiety, but in confident anticipation. You engage with the world not from fear, but from the knowing that your imagination has already created your reality. And as you maintain this state, you notice life aligning, people responding, doors opening, and opportunities arriving effortlessly. The art of letting go, relaxing, and trusting is a daily practice. Each day, choose to live in the end. Each moment, catch yourself in doubt and gently return to the feeling of fulfillment. Each breath, reinforce the inner certainty that your desire is already real. In this persistent alignment, life itself becomes your servant, shaping circumstances, orchestrating events, and bringing the invisible into visible form with effortless precision. Feel now the subtle power of imagination as it works silently beneath the surface of your awareness. Every image you hold, every sensation you nurture, is like a thread weaving the fabric of your reality. When you relax, when you trust, when you let go of doubt, you allow these threads to weave effortlessly. You do not force them. You do not manipulate them. You simply remain the observer and the creator at once, knowing that life responds with exact precision to the state you embody. Consider how often the mind rushes ahead, trying to control outcomes, trying to manage every detail, trying to solve problems before they even exist. This rushing is resistance. It is the opposite of trust. But when you pause, when you breathe, when you immerse yourself in the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you are no longer resisting. You are allowing the natural intelligence of life to align everything perfectly. You are no longer the struggler. You are the conscious creator. Notice the difference between effort and presence. Effort pushes, strains, and demands. Presence relaxes, observes, and assumes. Effort may achieve small things temporarily, but presence creates life itself. Effort battles reality. Presence co-creates with it. When you cultivate presence, by relaxing, by imagining, by trusting, you step into a state where life flows without opposition, where miracles are natural, and where manifestation is effortless. Imagine now that every challenge you face is a signal, not a barrier. Every obstacle, every delay, every unexpected turn is simply life responding to the vibrations you hold within. When you maintain relaxation and trust, these signals become guides rather than resistance. You begin to see the invisible order behind apparent chaos. You begin to feel the invisible order behind apparent chaos. You begin to feel the invisible order. Layer intelligence working in your favor, rearranging circumstances to match your inner reality. Relaxation allows clarity. When the mind is tense, when fear and doubt dominate, imagination is clouded. But when you release tension, when you surrender control, the mind becomes like a clear lake, reflecting perfectly the vision you hold. In this clarity, you see solutions, opportunities, and paths that were hidden when you were caught in struggle. Trust opens the doors that force cannot. Trust opens the doors that force cannot, allowing moves mountains that effort cannot touch. Notice the rhythm of your breath as you listen to this. Inhale fully, exhale completely. With each breath, you release tension, you release doubt, you release control. With each breath, you affirm the reality of your desire. This is not merely physical relaxation. It is the alignment of mind, heart, and imagination with the unseen reality that already exists. The universe moves to reflect this alignment. The intelligence of life always obeys the state you embody, even when outer appearances seem contrary. Remember this: the world is a mirror. It cannot dictate what exists in your inner state. If you hold peace, if you feel certainty, if you trust the world must yield to this reality. Appearances may seem stubborn, circumstances may seem slow, but your inner state is the law. It is the invisible cause. All else is effect. This is the secret to effortless living, the hidden power of letting go and trusting the universe. Imagine now living without anxiety, without the compulsion to control, without the fear that life might slip away. You move through each day anchored in trust, saturated with the feeling of fulfillment, confident in the unseen. You respond with calm intelligence, not reactionary fear. You act with inner certainty, and life bends to your consciousness. Doors open, people align, opportunities appear, all effortlessly. Relaxation and trust also free your mind from unnecessary struggle. You no longer wrestle with the how or when. The details belong to life itself. The details belong to life itself. Your responsibility is to assume, to feel, to dwell in the end. Life, in its infinite intelligence, orchestrates everything else. This is the law. You create by feeling, you manifest by assumption, and you allow life to handle the logistics. The unseen always works with precision when you cease resistance. Notice the subtle joy that arises when you release the weight of expectation. Expectation weighed with anxiety binds life. Expectation held with trust liberates it. Imagine the lightness of moving through each day, your mind free, your heart open, your imagination alive with certainty. In this state, life itself becomes a partner, a collaborator, an obedient instrument reflecting the inner reality you maintain. Even small moments of trust compound. A brief pause to feel your wish fulfilled, a gentle shift from doubt to assurance, a single breath of relaxation. These accumulate. They create a reservoir of certainty within you. From this reservoir, every thought, every feeling, every action flows effortlessly. Circumstances, people, and events align naturally. Not because of struggle, not because of effort, but because you have become the state of your desire. Feel now the harmony that arises when you no longer resist. Life ceases to push against you. Circumstances no longer frustrate you. People no longer obstruct you. People no longer obstruct you. You move in alignment with the infinite, and life itself flows through you, as if you are the channel of creation. The outer world must obey. The intelligence of life cannot ignore the state you embody. Feel now the subtle expansion that occurs when you release control. Each moment of surrender opens space for life to move effortlessly. Your mind no longer struggles against circumstances. Your heart no longer ginger pounds with worry. Your imagination flows freely, unhindered by doubt. In this space, your consciousness becomes like fertile soil, ready to receive the seeds of your desire. The unseen intelligence responds naturally, perfectly, and without delay to the state you maintain within. Notice how often your attention drifts to lack, to fear, to what if. Each thought of scarcity is like a weight upon your shoulders, a chain that binds the river of life. But when you consciously return to the feeling of fulfillment, when you trust the invisible, when you relax into the certainty that your desire is already real, these chains dissolve. You move freely, effortlessly, in rhythm with the unseen forces that are always working to bring your inner vision into form. Imagine now a life in which every encounter, every event, every situation reflects the calm certainty within you. You wake each morning not in struggle, not in anxiety, but in the knowing that life is already in alignment with your imagination. Opportunities appear, people align, circumstances unfold, all without strain, without effort, without worry. This is the natural state of consciousness that trusts the unseen, that allows life to manifest from the invisible into the visible, with perfection. Feel the power of your imagination as it becomes the invisible architect of reality. Every scene you hold, every sensation you dwell upon, sends ripples through the unseen. When you relax, when you trust, when you embody the end, these ripples expand, gathering momentum, drawing circumstances, events, and experiences that perfectly match the state you maintain. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the conscious creator of all that you perceive. Even when challenges arise, remain anchored in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Do not react with fear. Do not struggle against appearances. They are only reflections, temporary mirrors, waiting to adjust to the state you hold. Maintain calm certainty. Feel fulfillment deeply. Trust the invisible intelligence that orchestrates life with exact precision. In this alignment, the outer world becomes effortless, the impossible becomes natural, and life flows as an extension of your inner reality. Notice the subtle joy that emerges from letting go. Each breath becomes a signal of trust. Each heartbeat a confirmation that what you imagine is already accomplished. You do not need proof from the outside. The proof exists in the feeling you hold, in the sensation of your desire already realized. Life responds to feeling, to state, to consciousness, not to effort, not to struggle, not to force. Imagine the freedom that comes when you no longer worry about timing, about steps, about methods. You do not need to control the unfolding. Your responsibility is to embody, to imagine, to feel, to assume the end. Life itself, in its infinite intelligence, arranges the details perfectly. Your imagination is the spark, your feeling is the fire, and the universe moves naturally to reflect this reality in every corner of your experience. Relaxation is the key to clarity. Anxiety clouds vision. Tension distorts perception. Doubt blocks the flow. But when you let go, when you trust, when you release the need to force, your mind becomes clear. You see opportunities. You notice synchronicities. You recognize the invisible intelligence working in your favor. You no longer struggle with circumstances. You simply move with them in harmony, in alignment, in effortless co-creation. Even small moments of inner trust have immense power. A brief pause to feel the wish fulfilled, a gentle shift from tension to calm, a single breath of certainty. These compound over time. They build an invisible reservoir of certainty within you. From this reservoir, your thoughts, your actions, your very presence radiate alignment with your desire. Circumstances, people, and opportunities naturally converge to mirror the state you maintain. Notice how effortlessly life moves when you embody this inner state. Obstacles dissolve, delays fade, problems resolve themselves, opportunities appear where before tea. Here was resistance. Your inner state dictates the outer world. The intelligence of life obeys your consciousness. You do not force, you do not push, you do not push, you do not manipulate. You simply remain aligned, relaxed, trusting, and life flows. Trusting, and life flows. Imagine now the subtle expansion of your awareness as you move through each day with this effortless trust. Challenges no longer provoke fear. People no longer disturb your calm. Events no longer create tension. You remain steady in the inner reality you maintain, and the world bends to reflect this reality. You are the conscious creator, the silent architect, the one whose inner state shapes every facet of life. So now understand this clearly. The life you desire, the peace you seek, the abundance you imagine, all of it begins and ends within your own consciousness. Struggle and striving are unnecessary. Control and force are illusions. The key to living effortlessly, to manifesting effortlessly, is to let go, to relax, and to trust. Trust the unseen. Trust your imagination. Trust your imagination. Trust the intelligence of life itself. Carry this truth with you. What you feel, what you assume, what you embody becomes the reality you experience. When you live as if your desire is already fulfilled, when you dwell in the state of completion, the universe moves to mirror that reality with precision, elegance, and ease. Nothing outside of you can resist the certainty within you. So choose to release fear, choose to release doubt, choose to release doubt, choose to stop wrestling with circumstances, and instead align fully with the reality you wish to see. Live each day from the end, not from lack. Walk in calm certainty, in unwavering faith, in quiet knowing. In doing so, you do not wait for life to respond, you allow life to reveal what is already yours, effortlessly, naturally, perfectly. Remember this: you are the creator, you are the magnet, you are the consciousness that shapes every moment of your experience. Let go, relax, trust, and watch as life unfolds beyond your wildest imagination. The unseen is always listening, always responding, always aligning with the state you maintain. Be still, be certain, be unwavering, and all that you imagine as fulfilled will manifest as your reality.